Okay, we need to talk about expressions now that we've learned about coordinate planes and prime and composite numbers. What is an expression? Well, you know, an expression in English means just that it's something that you say. An expression, it may be a word, it may be a figure of speech. It's not usually, or it doesn't have to be a whole sentence. And a numerical expression is kind of the same way. It is a number sentence that does not have an equal sign. It may be just a number. It may be a number with operational signs like addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. It may have parentheses, and we know that parentheses just tell us to do whatever is inside the parentheses first before everything else. But the expressions have to match the words in the situation. And this is where we get to understanding the application-based problems, the word problems that you've been seeing in all of your work we've done so far. Now we need to learn how to write expressions to match them and how to match expressions to the word problem. So let's look at an example. The first one we need to look at, we have a situation where we have a guy named Doug who goes fishing for 3 days. Each day he takes $15. At the end of each day, he has $5 left. How much money did he spend by the end of the trip? We want to know how much he spent in 3 days. We know that he starts out with 15 and ends each day with 5. Well, that's a subtraction problem. We know that how much is left tells us to subtract. So we're going to just write this subtraction problem right here, $15 minus $5. And that tells us how much he spent in 1 day. And he did the same thing for how many days? 3 days. So here's 3 times 15 minus 5. Now see, we have to do the 15 minus 5 first because that's what tells us how much he spent each day. We figure that out first, then we multiply by 3, and that's why we put parentheses around 15 minus 5 to make sure that you do that part first. And why is that important? Well, let's see why that's important. I'm just going to show you what would happen if I didn't have parentheses. If I wrote this problem again over here as 3 times 15 minus 5, the way that we solve or simplify expressions without grouping symbols like parentheses, we have to do certain operations first. And we always multiply and divide before we add and subtract. So if we solve the problem without parentheses, we have to multiply first 3 times 15, which gives us 45, and then subtract 5, and then if we do that, we end up with 40. But that's like saying that he took $15 with him every day and he only spent 5. But the real problem is this: 3 times 15 minus 5. That's 3 times the difference of 15 and 5. And we solve that this way by saying 3 times 15 minus 5 is 10. And 3 times 10 is 30. So this is correct because we follow the order of the grouping symbols. We do things the right order. Parentheses first, then we multiply. Let's look at some more examples of how can we match the problems. We'll just erase this and get it out of our way. And pull our sheet down a little bit. We have a problem with Kim spending money on a fishing trip. Now here's the expression, 20 minus the sum of 12 and 3. And that's how we read this, 20 minus the sum of 12 and 3. So here's one problem. Kim has $20 to spend for her fishing trip. She spends $12 on a fishing pole, then she finds $3. how much money does Kim have now? Well, what was first? She had $20. What was next? She subtracted 12 because she spent it on a fishing pole. Then she added 3. So this is kind of the order that things happen in this word problem. That doesn't match the expression because our parentheses are in a different spot. Look at this one over here. Kim has $20 to spend on her fishing trip. She spends $12 on a fishing pole and $3 on bait. How much does Kim have now? So now we spend 12 plus 3. That's the total that we spent. And we can subtract that from 20. Now, what difference does it make? Well, 20 minus 12 is 8. Add 3 and you get 11. 12 plus 3 is 15, and if you subtract 15 from 20, you get 15. So they don't make the same answer. It matters which order we do it in. We have to understand what the question is asking us to do. So, do these words over here match the expression 20 minus 12 plus 3? No, they do not. These over here, 20 minus the sum of 12 and 5, they do match the expression. Alright, so we're going to take what we've talked about with these expressions and evaluating or simplifying the expressions. And we're going to see if we can do a couple of practice problems. And these will be pasted on the haiku block right there with the video. And work through these this weekend, and we'll go over them on Monday and get some practice. Y'all have a good weekend.